The humid air of Kepler 186f, hung thick with moisture and the exotic scents of alien vegetation, as Dr. Elena Voss made her way through the dense jungle that covered most of the planet's southern continent. The xenobotanist had been studying the unique flora of this world for 8 months now, documenting species that challenged every assumption about plant evolution and adaptation, while contributing to humanity's growing understanding of life in the galaxy. Elena was part of the colonial survey team that had been dispatched to evaluate Kepler 186f for potential human settlement and resource extraction. The planet showed promising signs of habitability with an oxygen-rich atmosphere, abundant water sources, and a stable climate that could support human life with minimal technological assistance. However, the native ecosystem was proving to be more complex and dangerous than initial surveys had suggested. The jungle around Elena teemed with plant life that displayed characteristics more commonly associated with animal behavior, including movement, sensory responses, and in some cases, active predation that made fieldwork extremely hazardous. She had already documented several species of mobile plants that used sophisticated camouflage and hunting strategies to capture prey, ranging from small insects to creatures the size of earth mammals. Elena's research partner was Kira, a young Altairian xenobiologist who had joined the survey team as part of an interspecies cooperation program between human colonial authorities and the Altairian Science Consortium. Her species possessed enhanced sensory capabilities that made her invaluable for detecting subtle environmental changes and biological threats that might escape human notice. The Altairians were a humanoid species with pale, blue skin, large violet eyes, and elongated fingers that ended in sensitive nerve clusters capable of detecting chemical compositions through touch. Kira's ability to sense pheromone trails and identify toxic substances had already saved the research team from several potentially deadly encounters with aggressive plant species that used chemical warfare against intruders. Elena and Kira had developed an effective working partnership over the months they had spent exploring the planet's diverse ecosystems. Elena's expertise in plant physiology and evolution complemented Kira's sensory abilities and knowledge of alien biochemistry, creating a research team that was uniquely qualified to study the complex interactions between different species in this exotic environment. Their current expedition was focused on investigating reports of unusual plant activity in a remote section of the jungle where automated monitoring stations had detected energy signatures that suggested the presence of large organisms with metabolic rates far exceeding anything previously documented on Kepler 186f. The readings indicated something was consuming vast amounts of organic matter in ways that defied conventional understanding of plant nutrition. The jungle terrain was challenging with dense undergrowth that limited visibility to just a few meters, while aerial roots and hanging vines created a three-dimensional maze that required careful navigation to avoid getting lost or trapped. Elena used her portable mapping equipment to maintain their position relative to base camp, while Kira monitored the chemical signatures that might indicate the presence of dangerous organisms. They had been hiking for several hours when Kira suddenly stopped and raised her hand in the gesture that indicated she was detecting something unusual in the environment. Her violet eyes dilated as she concentrated on sensory input that was beyond human perception, while her nerve cluster fingertips tested the air for chemical traces that might reveal the nature of whatever she was sensing. Kira explained that she was detecting complex organic compounds that suggested the presence of a very large organism with biochemical processes unlike anything in their existing database of planetary flora. The chemical signature indicated massive metabolic activity combined with secretions that were commonly associated with digestive processes in predatory species. Elena activated her bioscanners and began searching for visual confirmation of whatever Kira's enhanced senses were detecting. The electronic equipment registered elevated levels of organic activity in the area ahead of them, but was unable to provide specific identification of the source due to interference from the dense vegetation and complex electromagnetic environment of the alien jungle. They proceeded cautiously through the undergrowth, following Kira's chemical guidance toward the source of the unusual readings while maintaining constant communication with base camp through their portable transmitters. Lena documented their progress with visual recordings and biological samples, while Kira provided running commentary on the chemical changes she was detecting as they approached their objective. The first visual indication of their target came when they noticed that the normal sounds of jungle life had ceased entirely, creating an unnatural silence that suggested the presence of a significant predator that other organisms were instinctively avoiding. Elena had observed similar acoustic patterns around other dangerous species they had encountered and recognized it as a warning sign that required extreme caution. The vegetation began to change character as they moved deeper into the silent zone, with normal jungle plants giving way to species that Elena did not recognize from their previous surveys. These new plants displayed unusual characteristics, including translucent leaves that seemed to pulse with internal fluid movement and stems that appeared to be actively repositioning themselves as the research team passed by. Kira's sensory readings became increasingly urgent as she detected chemical signatures that indicated they were entering the territory of something that was actively tracking their movement through pheromone detection and biochemical analysis. Her species' evolutionary history had included periods of predation that had developed their chemical senses as survival mechanisms, and her instincts were warning of immediate danger. Elena was documenting the unusual vegetation with her recording equipment when they emerged into a small clearing where the source of the mysterious energy readings finally became visible. In the center of the open space was a plant unlike anything in the botanical databases, with a massive central structure that resembled a combination of Venus flytrap and pitcher plant scaled up 2 dimensions that defied belief. The organism was enormous, with a main body that stood nearly 4 meters tall and twice as wide, surrounded by a network of thick vines and root systems that extended throughout the clearing and into the surrounding jungle. The central structure featured a gaping W lined with rows of thorn-like projections that were constantly secreting digestive fluids, while smaller feeding appendages writhed around the opening like tentacles testing the air for potential prey. Elena began taking detailed measurements and photographs while maintaining what she believed to be a safe distance from the creature. Her scientific training had taught her to observe dangerous specimens from positions that would allow rapid escape while gathering maximum data about their structure and behavior patterns. However, her human senses were inadequate for detecting the full extent of the organism's hunting capabilities. Kira's enhanced senses provided much more complete information about the creature's capabilities as she detected chemical lures that were designed to attract prey, along with sensory systems that were actively tracking their movements and analyzing their biochemical signatures. Her warnings became increasingly frantic as she realized that the organism was preparing to attack despite their attempts to maintain safe distances. The attack came with shocking speed as the plant's feeding appendages launched toward them with the velocity of striking snakes, while the main body opened to reveal a throat cavity that was large enough to swallow prey the size of a human being. Elena barely had time to register the motion before she found herself diving sideways to avoid grasping tendrils that passed through the space where she had been standing just moments before. Kira was not as fortunate as her position had placed her directly in the path of the creature's primary attack. The feeding appendages wrapped around her torso and limbs with crushing force, while powerful muscles began dragging her toward the gaping maw that was secreting increasing amounts of digestive enzyme in preparation for its meal. Her struggles were futile against the plant's overwhelming strength and specialized predatory adaptations. Elena watched in horror as her research partner was pulled inexorably toward the creature's mouth despite Kira's desperate attempts to break free from the grasping appendages. The Altairian's enhanced strength and agility were no match for what predator that had evolved specifically to capture and consume large prey with efficiency that left victims no opportunity for escape once they had been seized. The plant's digestive system activated as Kira was drawn into the maw with enzymes beginning to coat her protective suit, while the muscular throat began the swallowing process that would carry her into the creature's stomach chamber, where she would be dissolved and absorbed as nutrients. Elena realized that she had perhaps minutes before her colleague would be killed by an organism. It was perfectly adapted for exactly this type of predation. Elena's training in emergency response procedures had prepared her for dangerous situations. But nothing in her background had equipped her to rescue someone from inside a carnivorous plant the size of a small building. To her research partner, and her refusal to accept failure drove her to attempt a rescue despite the obvious dangers to her own life. She retrieved her emergency kit and began assembling the tools that might be useful for cutting through the plant's tough exterior, while avoiding the defensive systems that were designed to protect it from exactly the type of attack she was planning. Her portable laser cutter had been designed for taking botanical samples, but might be powerful enough to damage the creature's feeding mechanism. If applied correctly, the plant's attention was focused on processing its captured prey, which gave Elena a brief opportunity to approach the base of the main structure without triggering additional defensive responses. She could hear Kira's muffled calls from inside the creature's digestive system, indicating that her colleague was still alive, but would not remain so for much longer given the acidic environment she was experiencing. Elena began cutting into the plant's outer wall at a point that her botanical knowledge suggested would be near the upper portion of the digestive chamber. The laser cutter produced immediate results as it burned through tissue that was dense but not armored, while releasing clouds of steam and toxic vapors that forced her to work while wearing her emergency breathing equipment. The plant's pain responses were immediate and violent as it began thrashing and attempting to dislodge Elena from her position while continuing to process Kira through its digestive system. Elena had to maintain her cutting work while avoiding the defensive spines and chemical sprays that the creature was using to protect itself from what it perceived as a serious threat to its survival. Progress was slow as the plant's tissue was thick and fibrous, requiring careful cutting to avoid damaging Kira while creating an opening large enough for extraction. Elena could hear her partner's voice becoming weaker as the digestive processes continued and realized that time was running out for a successful rescue despite her determined efforts to break through the creature's defenses. The breakthrough came when Elena's laser finally penetrated into the digestive chamber, and she was able to see Kira curled inside the acidic environment that was slowly dissolving her protective equipment. Elena immediately began expanding the opening, while calling instructions to her colleague about positioning herself for extraction once the hole was large enough. Elena managed to create an opening that was barely wide enough for human passage, and immediately reached inside to grab Kira's arm while pulling her toward the exit she had created. The plant's digestive fluids were burning Elena's hands even through her protective gloves, but she maintained her grip on her colleague and continued pulling despite the pain and the creature's increasingly violent attempts to retain its prey. The extraction was successful, though both Elena and Kira were badly injured by the plant's digestive enzymes and defensive chemicals. Elena dragged her colleague away from the creature and immediately began emergency medical procedures to neutralize the acid damage while calling for evacuation support from base camp through their emergency beacon system. The plant's behavior became increasingly erratic after losing its prey with violent thrashing that destroyed much of the surrounding vegetation, while its chemical emissions created a toxic cloud that forced Elena to move Kira to a safer distance while waiting for rescue. Elena continued providing medical treatment using her emergency supplies while documenting the encounter for the scientific record. The rescue team arrived within an hour and provided advanced medical treatment that stabilized both researchers before evacuating them to the base camp medical facility. Kira's injuries were serious, but not life-threatening, while Elena had sustained chemical burns that would require skin grafts, but would heal completely with proper treatment. Both would recover fully, though the experience had taught them valuable lessons about the dangers of alien ecosystems. The incident report generated significant interest among the scientific community as it documented the first confirmed case of a plant species, large enough and sophisticated enough to prey on human-sized organisms. Elena's recordings and biological samples provided unprecedented data about evolutionary adaptations that challenged existing theories about the limits of plant complexity and behavior. Kira's recovery provided opportunities for detailed analysis of the plant's digestive chemistry, which revealed enzyme systems that were far more sophisticated than anything found in earth plants. Her exposure to the creature's biochemical processes had provided medical researchers with valuable information about alien toxicology, while contributing to the development of improved protective equipment for future expeditions. Elena's heroic rescue of her colleague earned her recognition throughout the scientific community while demonstrating the importance of human determination and refusal to accept defeat when facing seemingly impossible challenges. Her willingness to risk her own life to save Kira had exemplified the best qualities of human character while advancing scientific knowledge through direct observation of dangerous phenomena. The relationship between Elena and Kira was strengthened by the shared trauma of their encounter with the carnivorous plant and their mutual dependence during the rescue and recovery process. Their professional partnership evolved into a deeper friendship based on trust and loyalty that had been tested under the most extreme circumstances possible. The detailed study of the carnivorous plant revealed that it was just one example of a complex ecosystem where plants had evolved predatory behaviors as responses to nutrient-poor soil conditions and intense competition for resources. Kira's research contributed to a fundamental revision of botanical theories about the evolutionary limits of plant intelligence and behavior. Their work on Kepler 186f continued for several more months with improved safety protocols and enhanced protective equipment that had been developed based on their experience with the carnivorous plant. They discovered numerous additional species that displayed varying degrees of predatory behavior, while documenting an ecosystem that was far more dynamic and dangerous than anyone had initially suspected. The colonial evaluation of Kepler 186f was ultimately modified to reflect the significant dangers posed by the native flora, while recognizing the potential scientific value of studying ecosystems where plants had evolved capabilities that exceeded anything found elsewhere in the known galaxy. The planet was designated as a research preserve rather than a potential colony site. Elena and Kira's partnership became a model for successful interspecies scientific collaboration, while their research methods were adopted by survey teams. Their experience had demonstrated the importance of combining different species capabilities while maintaining constant vigilance when exploring alien ecosystems that might contain unprecedented dangers. Years later, Elena would look back on the incident as a defining moment that had tested her commitment to her colleague and her profession while providing insights into alien biology that advanced scientific understanding throughout the galaxy. The decision to attempt an impossible rescue had been driven by human instincts that refused to abandon someone in need, regardless of personal risk. Kira's gratitude for Elena's heroic actions had created a bond between them that transcended species differences while demonstrating the potential for deep friendships to develop between humans and aliens. When based on mutual respect and shared experiences, their partnership had become stronger through adversity, while contributing to improved relations between their respective species. The carnivorous plant specimen that had nearly killed Kira was preserved for scientific study and became one of the most important botanical discoveries of the century. Elena's recordings of the creature's hunting and feeding behaviors provided researchers with unprecedented data about plant evolution, while Kira's biochemical analysis of its digestive processes revealed enzyme systems with potential medical applications. The incident had lasting impacts on Elena's career, as she became a leading authority on dangerous alien Flora, while developing safety protocols that were adopted by research teams throughout human space. Her experience with extreme plant predation made her uniquely qualified to evaluate the risks posed by alien ecosystems to human exploration and colonization efforts. Kira's recovery from her ordeal inside the plant's digestive system provided medical researchers with valuable information about alien toxicology and the development of treatments for exposure to exotic biochemical threats. Her survival had been dependent on Elena's quick thinking and determination, but had also revealed previously unknown capabilities of Altairian physiology to resist acidic environments. The research station on Kepler 186f became a permanent facility dedicated to studying the planet's unique ecosystem while maintaining strict safety protocols based on Elena and Kira's experience. The base attracted scientists from throughout the galaxy who were interested in studying plant species that challenged fundamental assumptions about the boundaries between plant and animal behavior. Elena and Kira continued their partnership for many years studying dangerous plant species throughout the galaxy while developing techniques and equipment that made such research safer for future generations of scientists. Their work contributed to a new field of study focused on predatory plant behavior, while advancing understanding of evolutionary possibilities that had never been previously documented. The story of Elena's rescue of Kira became legendary within the scientific community as an example of human courage and determination in the face of impossible odds. The incident demonstrated how human instincts to protect colleagues and friends could overcome rational calculations of risk while achieving results that seemed beyond the realm of possibility. Their continued friendship and professional collaboration served as proof that shared adversity create bonds stronger than species differences, while their scientific achievements demonstrated the advantages of combining different species' capabilities in research partnerships. Elena and Kira became advocates for interspecies cooperation while contributing to improved relations between humans and Altairians. The giant carnivorous plant that had nearly claimed Kira's life remained one of the most studied specimens in xenobotanical research, while Elena's heroic rescue continued to inspire scientists facing dangerous situations in their pursuit of knowledge. The incident had shown that human determination could overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles when motivated by loyalty to colleagues and commitment to scientific advancement. Elena's quick thinking and willingness to risk everything to save her partner had exemplified the best qualities of human character while advancing scientific knowledge through direct experience with phenomena that might otherwise have remained theoretical. Her actions had demonstrated that humans possessed capabilities for heroism that could inspire beings throughout the galaxy. The research partnership between Elena and Kira became a template for successful interspecies collaboration, while their experience with the carnivorous plant established new standards for safety protocols in alien environment exploration. Their work continued to influence scientific expeditions decades later, while their friendship remained a symbol of what could be achieved when different species worked together toward common goals. The jungle of Kepler 186f remained a dangerous environment where giant predatory plants continued to hunt unwary prey, but Elena and Kira's research had provided the knowledge and tools necessary for scientists to study these remarkable organisms safely. Their legacy lived on through the discoveries they had made and the lives they had saved through improved understanding of alien ecosystems. The moment when Elena had pulled Kira, the jaws of the carnivorous plant had become a defining symbol of human heroism and interspecies friendship that continued to inspire cooperation between different civilizations throughout the galaxy. Their story demonstrated that courage and loyalty could transcend biological differences while advancing the cause of scientific knowledge and mutual understanding. Years of continued research had revealed that the carnivorous plant was part of an entire ecosystem of predatory flora that had evolved in response to specific environmental conditions on Kepler 186f. Elena and Kira's work had opened new fields of study, contributing to fundamental advances in understanding plant evolution and the possibilities for complex behavior in species that had previously been considered simple and passive. Their partnership had proven that humans and aliens could work together effectively when their different capabilities were combined toward common objectives, while their friendship had shown that emotional bonds could develop between species that enhanced both scientific achievement and personal fulfillment. Elena's rescue of Kira remained the defining moment of their relationship, while their continued collaboration demonstrated the lasting value of their partnership. The giant carnivorous plant continued to be studied by researchers from throughout the galaxy who were fascinated by its sophisticated hunting strategies and complex digestive biochemistry. Elena's documentation of the creature's behavior had provided the foundation for all subsequent research, while Kira's survival had contributed crucial data about the organism's predatory capabilities and the potential for developing countermeasures. Elena and Kira's story became required reading for students of xenobiology and interspecies Relations as an example of how scientific partnerships could overcome extreme challenges while advancing knowledge that benefited entire civilizations. Their experience had demonstrated that courage and scientific curiosity could combine to produce achievements that seemed impossible when viewed from conventional perspectives. The rescue that had begun as an act of desperate courage had ultimately contributed to fundamental advances in scientific understanding, while creating a friendship that lasted for decades and influenced policy development for interspecies cooperation throughout human space. Elena's refusal to abandon her colleague in the face of certain death had exemplified human values while achieving results that continued to benefit researchers throughout the galaxy. The carnivorous plant of Kepler 186f remained a subject of fascination and study, while serving as a reminder of the dangers that awaited explorers in alien environments where evolution had produced organisms beyond human imagination. Elena and Kira's encounter with this remarkable predator had advanced scientific knowledge. While demonstrating the importance of courage, determination, and loyalty in overcoming challenges that threatened to destroy everything they had worked to achieve, 5 years had passed since that terrifying day in the jungle when Elena had pulled Kira from the digestive chamber of the giant carnivorous plant, and their partnership had become the most celebrated collaboration in the field of xenobiology. The research station on Kepler 186f had expanded into a major scientific facility that attracted researchers from dozens of species, who came to study the planet's unique ecosystem under the safety protocols that Elena and Kira had developed. Elena had been promoted to director of xenobotanical research for the entire sector while maintaining her active field research program that continued to discover new species of predatory plants throughout the galaxy. Her expertise in dangerous Flora had made her the leading authority on plant-based threats to exploration and colonization, while her rescue techniques had been incorporated into standard training for all field researchers. Kira had recovered completely from her ordeal inside the carnivorous plant and had used her unique experience to become the galaxy's foremost expert on alien biochemical toxicology. Her survival of the plant's digestive processes had provided invaluable data that had led to the development of protective equipment and medical treatments that had saved countless lives during subsequent expeditions to dangerous worlds. Their friendship had deepened through years of continued collaboration and shared adventures that had taken them to dozens of worlds where they had studied ecosystems that pushed the boundaries of biological possibility. Each new discovery had strengthened their partnership while advancing scientific understanding of how evolution produce organisms with capabilities that seemed to defy natural laws. The original carnivorous plant specimen had become the centerpiece of the research station's botanical gardens, where it was maintained in a secure containment facility that allowed scientists to study its behavior and biochemistry safely. The creature had provided insights into predatory plant evolution that had revolutionized botanical theory while serving as a living reminder of the day Elena had risked everything to save her partner's life. Elena and Kira had co-authored dozens of scientific papers that had established new fields of study in predatory botany and xenobiochemical defense systems. Their work had influenced safety protocols throughout human space while contributing to the development of medical treatments that had applications far beyond their original xenobiological context. The relationship between humans and Altairians had been significantly strengthened by Elena and Kira's partnership, which had demonstrated the potential for deep friendships and professional collaboration between species with very different capabilities and cultural backgrounds. Their success had encouraged other interspecies research partnerships. While influencing diplomatic relations at the highest levels of government, Elena often reflected on the moments during Kira's rescue when she had been forced to make decisions that determined whether her colleague would live or die. The experience had taught her that human instincts for protecting others could overcome rational calculations of risk while producing results that seemed impossible from any logical perspective. Kira's gratitude for Elena's heroic actions had evolved into a profound appreciation for human character traits that she had previously not fully understood. The willingness to risk everything for a friend without regard for personal consequences had impressed her as one of the most admirable qualities of human nature, and had influenced her own approach to relationships and responsibilities. Their continued research had revealed that the giant carnivorous plant was just one example of an entire evolutionary strategy that had developed independently on multiple worlds throughout the galaxy. Elena and Kira had discovered similar organisms on 7 different planets, each with unique adaptations that reflected their specific environmental conditions and evolutionary pressures. The comparative study of these predatory plants had provided unprecedented insights into convergent evolution and the ways that similar environmental challenges could produce remarkably similar biological solutions across vastly different ecosystems. Elena and Kira's research had contributed to fundamental advances in evolutionary theory, while demonstrating the predictable nature of certain adaptive responses. Their work had also revealed that many of these predatory plants possessed biochemical capabilities that had potential applications in medicine, agriculture, and industrial processes. Kira's analysis of digestive enzymes from various species had led to the development of new pharmaceuticals, while Elena's studies of plant sensory systems had contributed to advances in biotechnology and artificial intelligence. The research station on Kepler 186f had become a model for scientific facilities throughout human space, with safety protocols and emergency response procedures that reflected the lessons learned from Elena and Kira's encounter with the carnivorous plant. The station hosted training programs that taught researchers from multiple species how to work safely in dangerous alien environments while maintaining scientific objectivity and curiosity. Elena had established the Kira rescue protocols that were now standard equipment and procedures for all xenobiological research teams operating in potentially dangerous environments. The protocols included specialized cutting tools, emergency medical supplies, and communication systems that could coordinate rescue operations even in the most remote and hostile locations. Kira had developed the Elena Response Training Program that taught researchers how to maintain scientific observation and documentation even during life-threatening emergencies. The program emphasized the importance of quick thinking and creative problem-solving while maintaining the presence of mind necessary for making accurate observations that could save lives in advance. Knowledge their partnership had inspired the creation of the Interspecies Research Foundation, which provided funding and coordination for collaborative projects that brought together scientists from different species to study phenomena that required multiple types of expertise and sensory capabilities. Elena and Kira served on the Foundation's governing board while continuing their own research activities. The Foundation had funded expeditions to dozens of worlds, where mixed species teams had made discoveries that would have been impossible for single-species research groups. Elena and Kira's example had demonstrated the advantages of combining different biological capabilities and cultural perspectives in scientific investigation, while their friendship had shown that such partnerships could produce lasting bonds that enriched both personal and professional life. Elena's rescue techniques had been studied and refined by emergency response specialists throughout the galaxy who had adapted her methods for various types of life-threatening situations. Her willingness to attempt what seemed impossible had established new standards for rescue operations while demonstrating that human determination could overcome obstacles that appeared insurmountable. Kira's survival strategies had contributed to the development of emergency survival equipment that helped researchers endure exposure to hostile alien biochemical environments. Her experience inside the carnivorous plant had provided crucial data about physiological responses to extreme chemical stress, while her recovery had revealed previously unknown capabilities of Altairian. The anniversary of Elena's rescue of Kira was celebrated annually at research stations throughout human space as Heroism Day, which honored individuals who had risked their lives to save colleagues during scientific expeditions. The celebration emphasized the importance of loyalty and courage in maintaining the bonds that made dangerous research possible while advancing knowledge that benefited entire civilizations. Elena and Kira were invited to speak at conferences and universities throughout the galaxy, where their story inspired new generations of scientists to pursue careers in xenobiological research, while emphasizing the importance of partnerships and mutual support in overcoming the challenges of exploring alien worlds. Their lectures often focused on the scientific discoveries that had emerged from their encounter with the carnivorous plant. While acknowledging that the most important outcome had been the strengthening of their friendship and their commitment to protecting each other during future adventures, they emphasized that scientific achievement was meaningless without the personal relationships that made such work possible and fulfilling. The research they had conducted over the years, since their initial encounter, had revealed that predatory plants were far more common throughout the galaxy than previously suspected, with many worlds harboring species that posed significant threats to unwary explorers. Elena and Kira's work had contributed to the development of survey techniques that could identify such dangers before they claimed victims. Their collaborative methodology had been adopted by research institutions throughout human space and beyond, with mixed species teams becoming the standard approach for investigating alien ecosystems that might contain unprecedented dangers. Elena and Kira's partnership had established the template for successful interspecies scientific collaboration, while their friendship had demonstrated the personal rewards that could result from such relationships. The giant carnivorous plant that had nearly killed Kira had become one of the most studied organisms in the history of xenobiology, with researchers from throughout the galaxy traveling to Kepler 186f to observe its behavior and study its remarkable adaptations. Elena's documentation of the creature's hunting strategies had provided the foundation for all subsequent research, while Kira's biochemical analysis had revealed enzyme systems with revolutionary applications. Elena often returned to the jungle, clearing where she had pulled Kira from the plant's digestive chamber, and reflected on how that moment of desperate courage had changed both of their lives while advancing scientific knowledge in ways they could never have imagined. The spot had become a pilgrimage site for researchers who came to pay tribute to the courage and friendship that had made their own work possible. Kira maintained a small shrine near the research station where she honored Elena's heroism, while expressing gratitude for the friendship that had enriched her life and enabled her to make contributions to scientific knowledge that would benefit countless future researchers. The shrine had become a gathering place for scientists who wanted to reflect on the personal relationships that made their dangerous work meaningful. The protective equipment that had been developed based on Elena and Kira's experience had saved hundreds of lives during subsequent encounters with dangerous alien organisms, while the medical treatments derived from Kira's biochemical analysis had provided effective responses to toxic exposures that would previously have been fatal. Their research partnership had produced innovations in scientific methodology that had been adopted throughout the galaxy. While their friendship had influenced approaches to interspecies relations at every level of society, from individual relationships to diplomatic protocols between governments and scientific institutions. Elena's decision to attempt an impossible rescue had demonstrated human capabilities for heroism that had impressed beings throughout the galaxy, while establishing new standards for what could be achieved when individuals were motivated by loyalty and determination that transcended rational calculations of risk and probability. Kira's survival of her ordeal inside the carnivorous plant had revealed Altairian physiological capabilities that had previously been unknown, while her recovery had contributed to medical advances that had applications for multiple species facing similar biochemical threats in alien environments. The story of Elena's rescue of Kira had become part of the cultural heritage of both human and Altairian civilizations, where it was told as an example of the bonds that could develop between individuals from different species when they shared common goals and mutual respect that enabled them to overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Their continued partnership had produced scientific achievements that neither could have accomplished independently, while their friendship had demonstrated that emotional connections between different species could enhance, rather than compromise, professional effectiveness and scientific objectivity. The research station on Kepler 186f had become a symbol of successful interspecies cooperation and scientific achievement, where researchers from throughout the galaxy came to study dangerous alien organisms under protocols that reflected the lessons learned from Elena and Kira's encounter with the giant carnivorous plant. Elena and Kira's legacy extended far beyond their scientific discoveries to include fundamental changes in how different species approached collaboration and mutual support in pursuing knowledge that advanced understanding of the galaxy's incredible biological diversity while maintaining the safety and welfare of those who risked their lives in such pursuits. The moment when Elena had pulled Kira from the jaws of death inside, the carnivorous plant had become a defining symbol of human heroism and interspecies friendship that continued to inspire cooperation and mutual support between different civilizations throughout the galaxy. Years of continued research and exploration had confirmed that the universe contained wonders and dangers beyond imagination, but Elena and Kira's partnership had demonstrated that courage, friendship, and scientific curiosity could overcome any obstacle when individuals were committed to protecting each other while advancing knowledge that benefited all sentient beings. The jungle of Kepler 186f remained a dangerous environment, where predatory plants continued to pose threats to unwary researchers, but Elena and Kira's work had provided the knowledge and tools necessary for scientists to study these remarkable organisms safely while contributing to discoveries that revolutionized understanding of biological possibilities. Their friendship had proven that bonds forged in extreme adversity could last a lifetime, while their professional collaboration had established new standards for scientific partnership that combined the best capabilities of different species. In pursuit of knowledge that transcended the boundaries of individual cultures and biological limitations, Elena's heroic rescue of Kira exemplified the best qualities of human character while advancing scientific understanding through direct experience with phenomena that challenged every assumption about the limits of plant evolution and the possibilities for complex behavior in organisms that had previously been considered simple and passive. The carnivorous plant specimen continued to provide insights into predatory adaptations while serving as a living reminder of the day when human courage and determination had overcome impossible odds to save a life and advance knowledge that would benefit researchers throughout the galaxy for generations to come. Their story remained an inspiration to scientists, facing dangerous situations while demonstrating that the bonds between colleagues and friends could motivate achievements that seemed beyond the realm of possibility when viewed from conventional perspectives of risk assessment and rational decision-making. Elena and Kira's partnership had become a template for successful interspecies collaboration, while their experience with the giant carnivorous plant had established new standards for safety protocols and emergency response procedures that protected researchers while enabling them to pursue discoveries that advanced understanding of the galaxy's incredible biological diversity. The legacy of their encounter with the predatory plant continued to influence scientific expeditions throughout human space and beyond, while their friendship remained a symbol of what could be achieved when different species worked together with mutual respect and shared commitment to advancing knowledge that benefited all sentient beings throughout the galaxy. The moment of Elena's desperate rescue demonstrated that human instincts for protecting others could overcome rational calculations, while producing results that advanced both scientific knowledge and interspecies understanding in ways that continued to influence policy practiced decades after their initial encounter with the remarkable predatory organism. Their continued collaboration had proven that shared adversity could create bonds stronger than species differences. While their scientific achievements had demonstrated the advantages of combining different biological capabilities and cultural perspectives and research partnerships that produced discoveries impossible for single-species investigation teams, Elena's quick thinking and determination had saved Kira's life while advancing scientific knowledge through direct observation of predatory plant behavior that had previously been theoretical, while their partnership had established new models for interspecies cooperation that influenced relationships throughout the galaxy. The giant carnivorous plant of Kepler 186f remained one of the most studied organisms in xenobiological research, while Elena's heroic rescue of Kira continued to inspire scientists and explorers who faced similar challenges in their pursuit of knowledge about the wonders and dangers that awaited discovery in alien environments throughout the galaxy.